Hey, this is Splinter Sports Talk, and we're talking fantasy football today. Listen, I know all you guys out there are freaks. You're into this fantasy stuff, hoping some pretty girl will come up and give you a kiss on the cheek, or you're really hoping that your football team is going to win you some money this year. And around Thanksgiving, that fantasy goes all away because you realize that your team is out of it. Listen, you need to follow me. We'll talk about tight ends, quarterbacks, running backs. We'll talk about wide receivers and who you should be picking up if you can. Listen, how many times have you watched fantasy football and what you've seen is your buddy, oh, my favorite team is the Detroit Lions and I'm going to take Jared Goff. Yeah, when they got a shitty receiving core. Or how many people over the years have you seen they just take guys because they like them? They were no fantasy value. So listen, let's talk fantasy football. The next episode we'll be discussing quarterbacks and running backs. All right, hey, what's going on, you fantasy freaks? Listen, today we're going to get started with quarterbacks and tight ends. And these are the quarterbacks and tight ends. If I was you, I would be targeting to be successful in your league this year. Now, listen, I do things a little bit differently. I look at who I'm picking differently than what others do. One of the things I don't really do, rookies are not high on my priority list at all and never have been. Secondly, I like to look at the track record. What have these guys done in the last few years? You get some guys in there, and I'm going to give one for an example that I personally would not draft, but because I just don't see the track record yet. So, for example, Saquon Barkley, running back from the New York Giants. The guy has all the talent in the world, the physical ability, but I have not seen him put a complete season together yet. So I personally am not going to spend one of my top draft picks on Saquon Barkley. I'm going to go with someone else that shows that they can make it through the entire season. So listen, let's jump into the quarterbacks. In my opinion, I'm going to give you 5 or 6 quarterbacks that if you have a good chance of winning your league as long as you're combining them with the right wide receivers, tight ends, running backs, whatever. But anyways, these guys are going to give you an opportunity to win that league. First and foremost, I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes as Kansas City Chiefs has a great offensive line. They've rebuilt it again this year. This guy is talented. He's got all the weapons in the world. For the last couple of years, he's been so big on fantasy points. So Patrick Mahomes is number 1 for me. The number 2 quarterback, and this may not be on most people's lists, but it is number 2 for me, and we're seeing this guy put together a couple good seasons here, Josh Allen from the Buffalo Bills. Listen, whether you're with the Chiefs or the Bills or Seattle, whoever, it's about scoring points, and these guys are going to put points on the board, whether they have to do it passing or running. So my next guy is going to be Josh Allen. Last year, I had Stephon Diggs on one of my teams. He put up fantastic numbers for me. I just think that the Buffalo Bills are going to be there again in the end, and the entire season, Allen is going to have to work his butt off to put points on the board for that team to win. So my first 2 are Mahomes, and the next one is Josh Allen. My third quarterback is another upstart, Kyler Murray. Now, he does come with an asterisk. If before the season starts, DeAndre Hopkins decides that he's not going to play, I would probably let Murray go a little lower in the draft before I took him. Murray has been doing great. He's got wheels, passing game. This guy, he's been putting up some numbers these last 2 years, so I like Kyler Murray in number 3. Now, my number 4 guy here is a mainstay in fantasy football, Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson, again, he's not scared to run the ball. He's got a couple great wide receivers. The guy just always finds a way to get it done, and he puts up a lot of points in fantasy. So I like Russell Wilson. Now, number 5 is Lamar Jackson. I could go number 5, number 6 with him, but I'm going to put him at number 5. I think Baltimore is trying to surround him with a few more weapons. I'm hoping that he will learn how to find those weapons down the field. Not just Mark Andrews, but try to find some of his weapons down the field and not just take off and book out of the pocket all the time. But at the end of the day, when you look at the top 5 guys that I like, they all have wheels. They're the new generation of the quarterback. They're not afraid to get out of the pocket and rush for that touchdown if they have to, try to elude the pass rush. They all have great arms. So as far as I'm concerned, those are my top 5. Now, I'm not going to say, that you can't win with these other guys, but my next couple here, I'm really liking Justin Herbert. I would take him in my draft. I think he's going to have a fantastic year. Man, did some teams. This guy is great. I mean, he came in last year and he started tearing it up right away. He showed a lot of maturity, and I'm sure he learned a lot. So this year, I'm expecting big things from him. I'd take him if it comes to me. I'm going to be taking him in a draft as well. Next person here, and who I always like, I had him on my team last year before he got hurt. I had Dak Prescott last year. Dallas is going to have to score points. That defense is not that great. It's not great at all. Stinks. So they're going to have to score as many points as possible. And he has a ton of weapons out there to use. Also, he's coming off that injury. He's had a little bit of time to rest. He's getting back in good shape. So I just think that Dak Prescott potentially could have a huge season. So as far as I'm concerned, I really, these top 7 guys, Mahomes, Allen, Murray, Wilson, Jackson, Herbert, and Prescott. Keep your eye on them. Does that mean you have to get them right away? No, you do not have to get these guys right away. You're going to see Mahomes fly off probably in the first couple rounds in a lot of leagues. Some of these guys just go right for that quarterback right away. But these other guys you might be able to get a few rounds later. So personally, myself, I'm not going to be going for one of these quarterbacks right in the first couple rounds, but I guarantee you by the 3rd or the 4th in my league, I'm going to have to get one of those guys. Now, let's just round out the rest of my top 10 and talk about some of these other guys. Number 8, Aaron Rodgers. Again, Aaron Rodgers has nice weapons to use. Is he going to come in mentally with his head in the game this year? How is he going to do? So Aaron Rodgers would be my number 8 guy. Number 9 guy, Tom Brady. Again, Tom Brady has all the weapons. He's going to put up some good numbers. He's not going to make a lot of mistakes. Now, a couple sleeper guys here that I like. Stafford. Stafford's leaving the loser Lions, and he's going to the Rams. So I think that he's going to have better coaching. He's going to have some weapons. He's going to have something he wants to prove. If it's me, I could see you taking Stafford and stashing him away on your bench. Burrow and Tua, same thing for both of them. Now, the outside guys here, Kirk Cousins, Minnesota. He's got some weapons there. He's going to put up some numbers. It's just not consistent all the time. Watson, Tannehill. So that pretty much rounds out for me guys that I would be looking at either trying to have as my starter or putting as my second quarterback. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some other great guys out here as far as quarterbacks go. But a lot of times, some of these people have people way overrated. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is going to tear up the league right away. He would not be a pick of mine. And I know there's going to be people out there. Oh, man, I got to get that Jacksonville quarterback. I love Jacksonville. Well, I just wouldn't be taking him until late in the draft. We look down this list, Deshaun Watson. I do have him, 11, 12, 13. I just think a lot of his weapons have been taken away from him. DeAndre Hopkins is gone. Will Fuller's been traded. Lamar Miller's gone. I just don't really see this guy having a tremendous amount of weapons. Now Carson Wentz is hurt, so that's one quarter. If you've already drafted and you took him, get rid of him now. 5 to 12 weeks out on the injured reserve list. So anyway, now let's go back and just recap it real quick. I'm looking at my top quarterbacks as being Mahomes, Allen, Murray, Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson, Herbert, Prescott, in that order. So basically, those are the guys you should be looking for. Now, let's move on to our tight ends. These are the quarterback's buddy. This is who he's going to go to when everybody else is covered. He's looking for that tight end. Some of these tight ends is putting up numbers just as good as wide receivers. So, there's a few tight ends that I really love. Honestly, for me, my tight end's always important to me. I have to get one of these top tight ends. That's always the way I feel. I have to have one of the top tight ends because you're studying enough on wide receivers, running backs. You're studying these so every week you can make changes if one of your guys get hurt. I like the dependability of a good tight end. Really, once you get past the first 5 or 6 tight ends, really, I don't think there's that many good tight ends out there that are worth your time studying it. You're going to go out there, oh, my tight end's hurt, and I got to pick up a reserve. Who am I going to get? A guy that's going to get 1 pass attempt maybe in the game, or 3 pass attempts, maybe 1 catch. That's not the productivity I want out of my tight end. So I'm going to go into the tight ends right now, and we're going to look at you got some superstars right off the top: Kelsey, Kittle, Waller, Andrews. Hockenson is getting better. He does have Jared Goff, so maybe our team's gonna put the Detroit Lions don't have a great wide receivers corps, so are they going to put more pressure on Hockenson and not as much on the wide receivers? How are they going to do that? So, anyways. But right off the bat, proven veteran Kelsey from the Chiefs goes right along with Mahomes as the number 1 quarterback. Kelsey, if you can get him, you want to take him. I mean, this guy always puts up great numbers. He's there to play every single game. Next is one of my favorite tight ends in the game, and that's Kittle. I love George Kittle. This guy is, intensity. He comes out there and he's ready to play every game. Give me the ball, coach. He wants to run guys over. Last year he did have some injuries, so it did sideline his numbers a little bit. But, as far as I'm concerned, I'm going with Kittle, my number 2 guy. Personally, myself, I'd probably put Kittle over Kelsey, but that's not what the numbers show. Number 3 guy right now, who's been the last 2 years been putting up nice numbers, is Waller. I like Darren Waller from the Raiders. Guys always putting up good numbers. They go to him a lot, so I like Waller. I think he's a great tight end. Number 4, Mark Andrews. Is Lamar Jackson going to find him this year? Last year he was a little bit down, so is he going to find him this year? But I do like Mark Andrews, dependable. These guys, they play every game. Now, number 5 and 6, really for me, you might not like these picks, but number 5, I'm looking at Hockenson from the Lions. He's gotten a little better each year. So every year he's gotten a little bit better. This year I expect even for him to get a little bit better than what he has been. He still has a decent quarterback with Goff. And Goff really doesn't have a lot of other targets in Detroit, so I think he's gonna pick Hockenson a lot. So he could be a number 5. Now the other guy that I'm kind of putting right up there with him is Gesicki from Miami. Miami's getting better. Gesicki started showing some life last year, started having a couple games where he was making some catches and doing well, so I kind of like Gesicki as well. Now, we go down the rest of the list, and the rest of the list for me is not really, sure, we have to grab these guys. If you're in a 10, 12, 14-man league, you have to grab them. You have to have the tight end. So, next down the list for me, Dallas Goedert. Always liked him. Looks like maybe he's going to get a better role in Philadelphia. Ertz is getting older. Next is Robert Tonyan from Green Bay. He had some wonderful games last year, but then he had some games that were really down. Is Aaron Rodgers going to find him more? Or is he gonna target him more this year? I guess we're gonna have to find out. But I did like Tonyan. I might even put Tonyan a little bit higher based on what Aaron Rodgers does with him. Next guy, Noah Fant from Denver. I do like Fant, but really until he gets a better quarterback over there, his numbers are going to be limited. From there, now I'm going to put in what everybody else has been doing. At this point in time, I'm going to put Pitts in there from Atlanta. Looks like he's, right from the get-go, he's going to be a starter. He's going to be depended on. If you look at the national people on this, a lot of them are saying Pitts, he should be 5 or 6. I'm putting him down. Like I said, I'm just not big on rookies. They got to get in there and prove themselves to me before I would take a chance and draft them. So Pitts, to me, that's where he falls. 9, rounded it out, 9 and 10, Irv Smith from Minnesota. He's had a couple good games last year. Hopefully Minnesota will use him more often. And last but not least is, for me, is Zach Ertz. Yes, he's getting older. He's had injuries. But what I think could possibly happen is if Philadelphia is not winning right away, I could see Philadelphia trading him off to possibly a contender, someone that has a chance to do it, and then they'll rely on Zach Ertz, and you might pick up some points that way. If it was me, I'm picking Ertz up and putting him on my bench just as the backup potential. Maybe he gets traded down the road type player, and I think then that'll raise his spirits, and then he's gonna take off. So I again just kind of going over these tight ends. Top 5 or 6 here. Of course, Travis Kelce, George Kittle, number 2, Darren Waller, number 3, Hawkinson or Andrews, number 4, Hawkinson, Gesicki, 5, 6. And then Goddard, Tonyan. So listen now. If you follow this a little bit with these quarterbacks and the tight ends, hopefully you can get yourself a great player to help your team. Don't feel as if on the quarterbacks you have to jump too soon. Now, on my next video, what we're going to do is we're going to discuss wide receivers and running backs. The wide receivers are so important to every team. You get 3 good wide receivers on your team, maybe you don't need to necessarily have one of the top quarterbacks. You should have one of the better ones, but you maybe don't need the top one. Wide receivers have become so important in most leagues right now, and you're going to be surprised by by some of the numbers of these wide receivers. I think basically wide receivers are taking over running backs in fantasy as far as I'm concerned. So anyways, listen, I look forward to doing the next video. Hey, stop fantasizing about having a great team. Put together a great team. Do your homework. Study before you go into the draft. All right, you take it easy. Have a great fantasy season, and I look forward to doing the next video with you.